Hi guys, thanks for joining me once again. It's Saturday morning, that can only mean one thing, it's story time once again, right here on Thailand Bound. Now I'm happy to report that the 3 stories I'm going to read you out this morning are all brand new. They haven't been read out on this channel. I haven't got time to read every story on every channel across YouTube, so I don't know, but they're brand new for me. A bit of a warning here, the third story today is a real tearjerker, okay? So get your hankies ready. Very serious story, but I'm just warning you, okay? So let's jump into the first of 3 stories.
สวัสดีค่ะ
Hi Peter, my name is James and I would like to share a Thailand girlfriend experience with you and your viewers. A little about myself first. I was in the automobile business in the USA for most of my working life. I made good money and I managed to save a decent amount for retirement. I also receive a decent private and state pension. I was married for approximately 40 years. I raised 2 sons who are now both working and independent. Over the last 10 to 12 years, the relationship between myself and my wife has been more and more distant. In fact, the bedroom activity faded out approximately 8 years ago. So as you can imagine, life for me in America was pretty miserable. I have visited Thailand on several occasions with a friend who persuaded me to go along with him. It wasn't a problem to get away from my wife at the time because basically she wasn't really interested in what I did. I can still remember every time I came through my front door after a Thailand trip, the first thing on my mind was to run upstairs, turn on my PC and start looking for flights to return to Thailand. At the age of 65, both my wife and I decided that the marriage had run its course and we thought it better that we go our separate ways. From day one that we had decided to end our marriage, I immediately started thinking about Thailand as a possible destination for retirement. I mean, let's face it, what did I have here in the US except a lot of miserable faces walking about every day, worrying about paying their bills? That wasn't for me. Our family home was finally sold and divided between me and my ex-wife. I sold everything I didn't need and the few personal belongings I wanted to hang on to, I gave to my sister to store at her house, next stop, Bangkok. I won't bore you with the details of finding an apartment and settling down because there are lots of videos already on YouTube about guys retiring to Thailand who explain budgets, etc. This story will focus more on the girls I have met since being here. I'm not really into the bars and I'm not a drinker, but I did want to meet attractive girls for that girlfriend experience or even experiences. I've been married for the past 40 years. I wasn't ready to get into a relationship and I wanted to test the waters in the romance department. As I've said, not liking bars too much, I didn't like the prospect of having to go into a bar or go-go bars and pay money just to take girls out. It's just not my scene. On the other hand, as I spoke virtually no Thai at all, other than the normal please, thank you and how much etc., which by the way I had learnt before leaving the States, my chance of meeting a normal Thai girl in a restaurant or a shopping mall for instance were virtually nil. This gave me one other option, dating sites. I had watched quite a few YouTube videos about Thailand, including yours, Peter, before heading out to Thailand. Many people recommend sites such as Thai Friendly and Tinder. Now, I must mention at this point, I wasn't really interested in just finding one girl and making her my girlfriend. As I said earlier, I have just come out of a long-term marriage. I put together my profile, uploaded it, just one dating site to start with. I was amazed at the number of girls who responded to my profile. If this was America, I would be lucky to get one. A little nervous because it had been a lot of years since I dated, I got in contact with several of these girls who all appeared to be very nice. Now obviously I was quite naive and I didn't understand that some of these girls who were just looking for money. But anyway, I made dates with several of them and had some quite good experiences. I like to get to know a girl a little before trying anything a little more serious. If I meet a girl, the first thing I normally do is I would take her for a drink, a meal and perhaps some other kind of entertainment later on in the evening. I would generally try to do this 2 or 3 times before attempting to bring her back to my apartment. One of the other main reasons for this was because I wanted to see if there was any chemistry between us. So, it has been about a year, as said, since I arrived in Thailand, and I dated quite a lot of Thai women ranging in age from 32 to 48. For the most part, I've enjoyed my time with the majority of these girls. That there have been one or two strange ones. Something I found out very early was that quite a few of these girls that I dated were simply looking for money. They just didn't put it in that straightforward like the girls in the bars. They would come out with statements like, "I really like you, but I have to send money to my family," or "I don't have money for rent, can you help me?" It was always the same ploy to try and get money from me. I would get to spend the night with them, but they wanted some form of compensation for the most part anyway. For the girls who didn't get what they wanted from me, they would fade away very quickly. There were several who didn't ask for money or come out with hints about needing money, but these girls were typically looking for a long-term relationship on the terms of finding somebody to support them financially on a monthly basis rather than short-term transactions. So now you know a bit about me, I want to get into the main reason for sending you this story. As you know, some Thai girls can be ruthless and are very good at manipulating foreign guys to get what they want financially. This part of my story will show you just how manipulative these Thai girls can be. It all started as it normally does. One evening while in my apartment, I received a notification from Tinder, I think it was, from a girl who was interested to speak to me. Upon opening her profile, she immediately struck me as one of the more beautiful girls I had come across on the dating apps. She wasn't young, she looked about 40, but she was stunning. We messaged back and forth for a while when she suggested we jump on the Line app and talk face to face. When talking to her on video chat, it was apparent that her English was good. She told me her nickname was Flower and that it was what I should call her. We spent time talking to each other both in the daytime and the evening for about a week before I finally asked her if she would be interested in meeting me for dinner, to which she replied she would be. We met up in a local restaurant close to my apartment at Terminal 21 near Asok. Afterwards, we had drinks in a local bar and everything was going well. I was intrigued about how good her English was, but I didn't want to insult her, so I didn't say too much, but I wondered, had she a foreign boyfriend or boyfriends in the past? Had she even been abroad? She told me she'd worked for a foreign company in the past, but I wasn't entirely convinced. But for the moment, the evening was going well. At about 1 a.m, Flower suddenly turned to me and said, "My apartment is far and the BTS has stopped at midnight. I don't have money for a taxi as I left my purse at home. Can I stay with you at your apartment when I can catch the BTS in the morning?" This surprised me while at the same time excited me. I thought most girls would have just asked to borrow a couple of $100 for the taxi. Here was something more going on. Without going into all the details, we eventually ended up at my apartment. She showered and I had one of the most enjoyable nights of aerobics that I had ever experienced in my life. I woke up before Flower and I looked at her sleeping peacefully in my bed. This girl looked like something from an exotic travel brochure. The way she lay across the bed with her long black hair hanging off the back of the pillow, dark silky skin, beautiful lips and mouth slightly open. She seemed to be laying peacefully without a care in the world. Not at this moment anyway. I guess you can guess what happened next. She wasn't too thrilled to be woken up abruptly, but I was a man on a mission. I just couldn't resist. Eventually, the deed was over, and as quickly as Flower had jumped into bed, she was once again out and in the shower. When she wandered into my small kitchen, I asked her if she would like a coffee or something other to drink. Her reply stunned me. She said, and I quote, "I want to be your girlfriend from right now, and you must pay me 50,000 baht per month to look after me, but I will not come here every day." Honestly, I was shocked. I know these girls are looking for money, but to come out with it in such a bold statement, I couldn't believe it. She just stood there looking at me, waiting for a reaction. I forced a fake smile and said, "Look, you're a nice girl, I enjoyed your company, and I wouldn't mind seeing you again, but I'm not looking for a girlfriend, especially one that I have to pay a salary to." I was expecting World War III, but to my surprise, she shrugged her shoulders and said, Those three magical words that you will always hear again and again, mostly in Thailand. Up to you. I went into the bedroom and retrieved 2,000 baht that I had hidden under a book before going to sleep. I came back into the kitchen, gave it to Flower and said, "Here, this is for your taxi home." Taxi? What a joke. She could have gone to Chiang Mai and back for that. Flower left and I thought to myself, okay, no real harm done. I had a great night of aerobics and 2,000 baht isn't the end of the world. I also thought I would never see Flower again. How wrong I was. About 3 days went by when I get a text message from Flower saying, "How are you today, Tilak? I miss you. I won't come see you." I thought about it for a while and I thought, would this be wise? Although she said she had asked me for 50,000 baht a month and I had refused, she hadn't really been aggressive, moody or intimidating. She also didn't seem to get upset when I said I wasn't interested. As I keep saying, she was drop dead gorgeous and was great in bed, so I thought, what's there to lose other than a good time? I texted her back and said, "Yeah, no problem, you can come over to my apartment if you want to," and we arranged a time that suited us both. Same as the last time, fantastic few hours of aerobic, 2,000 baht and a naughty smile as she left my apartment. This went on for about 6 weeks, although I was seeing plenty of other girls at the same time. One thing that used to annoy me about Flower was her timekeeping. We'd arranged to meet at 6 p.m. and she'd turn up at 7:30 p.m. I now understand that this is a very Thai thing and I don't get upset about it, but she seemed to do it on every meeting and it was very, very irritating. I speak to her about it and explain that I like her to turn up on time. She always promised and said, "Sorry Tilak, next time. I promise, I won't be late again." But again, she always was, which brings me to the climax of our story. Flower was now a steadfast regular of beauties that would visit me in my apartment, sometimes in the afternoon, other times in the evening. On this particular day, Flower had arranged with me to come to my apartment at 9 p.m. Now, as I already said, I was expecting her to be late, but by 11:30 p.m. I was really irritated. I couldn't care less about waiting up to see her. I locked the door, turned off the lights and went to bed. Just as I turned off my bedside lamp, my phone rings. Yep, you guessed it, it's Flower. She simply says, "I come see you now, Tilak?" No sorry, no explanation, just, "I come see you." I told her, "Don't bother, I'm already in bed. It's 11:30. She said, "But Tilak, I'm on my way again." I told her, "You were supposed to be here at 9 o'clock, it's now 11:30 p.m. I'm going to sleep." She then said, "I'm sorry, but I come now." I said, "No, you've disrespected me. We agreed 9 p.m. 30 minutes late is fine, but it's now 11:30 and I don't want to see you." I hang up the phone, turn off the lights. I'm just starting to fall asleep when I hear knocking at my door. Now, I live in a secure building. You need a key card to get up to the elevator. So I've got no idea how she's made it to my room alone. I know it's her, but I don't get out of bed. I just lay there and hope she will go away. But she continues banging the door for about 5 minutes. That doesn't seem like a long time, but when the corridors are quiet, it's like explosions going off. I hope she doesn't disturb my neighbours. I like living here. After about 5 minutes, it goes quiet once again, and I think, good, she's gone. But once again, my phone rings. "Tilak, why you not open door?" "I miss you." I told her straight, "If you ring me once more, I'm going to block your number," and I hung up. She didn't ring me again that night. I thought to myself before sleeping, that's definitely it. I will never see her again. Or will I? About a week goes by when I receive a message on my phone that says, "Tilak, I'm so sorry, but I miss you. I won't come see you now." It's just so happened that one girl had let me down, and at that moment I'd been thinking what my alternative plans would be for the afternoon. Other than knocking on my door for a while last week, Flower hadn't really caused me any great distress or disturbance. She was quite mature about things. She was just persistent. In a strange way, I kind of admired this about her. I texted her and said, "How long will you be?" She replied, "About 45 minutes, Tilak." I said, "Fine, let me know when you're downstairs and I'll come down and collect you." When Flower was in my apartment, I made her a cold drink and a coffee for myself. And I don't know why, but I just come out with it. I said, "Are you still on Tinder or Thai Friendly?" To which she very quickly replied, "No, I've deleted my accounts." To anybody listening to this story who might not know, it is possible for somebody to still be on a dating site but delete someone so they can't see their profile. Flower told me she was no longer on these dating sites. She could have been, it's just that I couldn't see her because she could have blocked me. I thought to myself, I have to put plan B into action. I have a friend in the States who I contacted. I told him this story and I said, it's not really serious with her. I just want to find out if this girl is lying to me, because she's okay. So I gave him her name and asked him to see what he could find. After a few days, he sent me the text that he copied and pasted between Flower and himself. He'd started off by basically saying, "Hi gorgeous, this is Roger. I'm from the States. I've just arrived in Bangkok and I'm looking for a girlfriend, or at least a friend for the moment." Roger was really in the States but just said he was in Bangkok. Not long after, he received a reply from Flower telling him that she was single and had no boyfriend and that she would love to meet up for a coffee or something. A few days later, Flower came round to my apartment with the normal routine of lies while she was late, but I was now armed with copies of her texts between her and Roger. After a little while, I said to her again, "Are you sure you're not on Tinder or Thai Friendly?" She again reiterated that she is not on any dating site. I then showed her copies of the text, which I had printed out by this time, expecting her to be shocked and deny everything or run out of the apartment. Instead, she very calmly looked at me and said, "Yes, that's me." I was a little taken back at this because I was not expecting this kind of reaction. I was expecting your typical Thai girl denial and drama. I asked her why she lied. She told me, "Look, I've already told you I wanted you to be my boyfriend and you said no. So I'm looking for somebody else who is able to take care of me financially." I then said, "If that was the case, why did you bother to lie to me?" She just shrugged her shoulders and said, "You know." As a result, because I wasn't in love with Flower, and on the other hand, she knew I wouldn't support her financially full time, the both of us kind of let the whole situation just blow over us, and we didn't think any more of it. I continued to see Flower from time to time. Normally, she would text me. She will come over to my apartment for a few hours. We'll have some great aerobics. I'll give her a couple of thousand baht, and that's it until the next time. I suspect that I'm just her backup, a way of getting some quick cash if she's desperate. I dare say she's got several guys she's trying to hook and is telling them all the same lies. I feel sorry for any guy who believes her story and falls in love with her. What's important is she was upfront with me and told me what she wanted. 50,000 baht a month. There's no way in this world that I could have a relationship with somebody who is only with me for money. Now, on the other hand, for a few hours each week, for some fantastic aerobics and a couple of thousand baht, I don't see anything wrong with that. As long as Flower is happy to come over and I'm happy to entertain her for a while, the bottom line is here, not everything in Thailand is what it seems. Flower isn't a bad girl. She's just trying to get by as best as she can. She's obviously a little more intelligent than your average bar girl and trying to maximise her earnings. Who knows, perhaps deep down she wants to find herself a husband. I don't feel any bad feelings towards her and I wish all the best of luck. I sincerely hope that she finds what she's looking for one day. Thanks for reading out my story. I'll send in part 2 if there ever is one, but of course that all depends on Flower. What a great story. That reminds me of a story that not a story that I've read out, but a situation that I witnessed a few years ago. Very, very similar to this, where a guy I knew met a hardcore, kind of a hard girl. She was hard on the outside to begin with, like this. And same sort of thing. She wanted lots of money and she thought she would play him, but he was very, intelligent enough. And he told her straight and said, "Look, I like you, but this isn't going to happen." And they developed a relationship like that carried on here. But it was really weird because what happened, she kind of got to admire him because she thought, well, this isn't a stupid Falang, this isn't a gullible foreigner. And she kind of built up respect for him. And on the other hand, he kind of looked at her and admired her for the way she conducted herself and handled people. And eventually they became a couple. And as far as I know, she was faithful. She moved in with the guy. And, so from going from a story like this to actually moving in together, and they became, happy ever after, as it were. So it does happen. Great story. Right, let's jump into story number 2. I have had my passport for about a year and a half now, and I finally have the chance to leave the country. I left for SeaTac Airport, and when I arrived, I learned that there was a 3-hour delay before the flight took off. When we finally took off for our 14-hour flight, I was very excited to finally be in the air on my way to the Philippines. When I arrived, I caught my bearings and started to go through my checklist of what I needed when I got to Manila Airport. I needed a SIM card, so the first action was to go to a nearby ATM to withdraw some cash. I withdrew 10,000 pesos to buy a SIM card at the airport from a local vendor. Mistake number one, as I will tell you later in this story. When the lady tried the SIM card in my phone, the phone locked and I was unable to use the phone. So I proceeded to go outside and grab a taxi. When I went outside, taxi cab drivers were calling me to their cabs. There was a guy in a white short-sleeved golf shirt who ushered me to a transportation service centre across the street to take me to my room in Angeles City. There was another guy inside who told me it would cost 7,600 pesos to take me to the hotel. I was told it was only 5,500 pesos. What's going on? Then he replied, okay, we will take you for 5,500 pesos, but you pay the toll fee, okay? He told me the toll fee was 1,200, but I learned it was actually 1,000 pesos. I agreed and off we went. It was a Sunday and the traffic was terrible and it was sweltering hot. When we arrived at the toll booth, I gave the driver 1,500 pesos for the toll and soon thereafter arrived at the hotel. He tried to give me 200 pesos out of 300, but I wanted all of my change because I had a feeling the toll wasn't that much. I had to let them know that they have gotten me, but I'm not a complete sucker. I checked in and they showed me to my room. I called the Filipina I had been talking to for about 8 months. Her name is Rose. She's very attractive with beautiful long black hair and a short curvy body, to let her know I'd made it. I met her in the hotel lobby, hugged and we told each other we were happy to finally meet one another. We got back to my room and we immediately started to make out. After we had a quick shower together, we had a fantastic aerobics, even though she was spotting for her first time of the month. After the aerobics, we washed up and cuddled and chilled for the night. The next day, Rose offered her friend to me for aerobics since she was nearing her time of the month. So she called her friend who worked in a bar, we'll call her Dee, to see if she wanted to hang out with us and later that night have some drinks. Dee was busy at that time and told us to come to the bar later that night. When we got there, we met Dee and she was more attractive than Rose was. I didn't really see Dee's body, but her face was beautiful. We sat down and began to socialise and my girl Rose looked on stage and said, she's pretty, I like her hair. She was talking about a mixed black and Filipino bar girl on the far end of the stage that was an absolute stunner. We'll call her Bree. The best looking woman there, in my humble opinion. Dee asked me if I wanted Bree to come sit with us and I said, I'll tell you what, if you can pick out 2 girls on stage I'm attracted to, have her come sit with us and I'll not only buy us all drinks but order food to eat. How's that? Dee picked out another girl with her laser pointer and to my amazement she was spot on. The other girl was stunning as well. She too came down to join us. We'll call her Eva. I ordered us all drinks and before I knew it I felt hands massaging my shoulders and back. I turned around and another stunning Filipina was massaging me and I felt like a rock star. I ordered her drinks and we all talked amongst ourselves and we were all having a good time. I was spreading the conversation around the table, but my attention was very much on Bree most of the time. I asked if she was single, but she told me she had a boyfriend. I established a rule. Never bar fine a girl that has a sponsor, husband or boyfriend. I don't want to engage in any dramas, but for Bree, I would have to make an exception. Dee and Eva were single, but I didn't pursue aerobics with them. They were all nice and friendly girls and I was enjoying my time with them. Such a good time with all of these beautiful Filipinas sitting at my table making me feel like a king. Eventually, the mama-san came over to our table and introduced herself. She was very nice and entertaining, showing off her bar girl moves, showing us that she's still got it. The food came and we all ate. I thanked the mama-san and promised I would be back very soon. They all thanked me for the meal and Rose and I hit a couple more bars before returning to my room for some more aerobics. Throughout my trip, Rose asked if I wanted another woman because of her time of the month and I let her know that I wasn't there for any other woman besides her. That was the mistake I mentioned earlier. I was so distracted about the 3-hour flight delay that I forgot to call my bank to let them know I was going on a trip overseas. So they locked my debit card for security purposes. I was kind of worried but didn't panic and kept cool. I went to the front desk for assistance and they tried to call from their personal cell phones but couldn't make international calls. They told me to go to the lady at the concierge desk so she could assist me better. She told me to get another hotel so that I could use their line to call my bank, and I did. I paid a 300 pesos to make my call, and I successfully unlocked my account and had no more trouble getting money from then on in. Rose wanted me to meet her family, so we met her Auntie Ruby, who was also very attractive. Her female cousin who lives with Rose, and Rose's male cousin who works as a trike driver at a nearby restaurant. We had a very nice time meeting and getting to know one another while we ate and drank. I thoroughly enjoyed the next 2 days with Rose as it was getting near for me to leave. Rose is great and she has shown me that she is potential wife material, but of course she isn't perfect. There was a time when she kept asking me the same question over and over, which is a pet peeve of mine, repeating to myself. Another thing was Rose asked me to invite her family to my hotel and go for a swim in the hotel's pool without mentioning that I would foot the bill for them to eat. I don't mind sharing my success and what I have, but please do not take advantage. I didn't come on vacation to spend all my money on Rose's family. However, Rose's good points outweigh her bad points, and I can sit and talk a reason compromise with her despite her broken English. There were times I felt that there were so many Filipinos in need asking me for change and sleeping out on the street with no place to go. I did give out some change but was very careful not to get mobbed by others for money. When it was time to go, it was sad but I didn't shed a tear. I know that I will get back home to take care of some business and be back to the Philippines very soon. All in all, I had an outstanding time and had experiences of a lifetime. Not too bad for my first trip out of the country. So, okay, first trip out of the country. I'm sure by the third and the fourth, you're going to look back on the first trip and think, hang on, I wasn't that wise. I had to smile in the bit of the story where the guy, if you're watching, no offense to you, but you said, she isn't perfect. Well, I mean, at the end of the day, who is? I'm not. I'm sure you're not. But nice story. Thank you. Right. Quick warning, this is a very, very sad story. In fact, it's not too long. It's a couple of pages long. I've had it for about 4 weeks and I haven't read it out so far because I've been thinking, should I read it out or should I not read it out? It's not, I don't want to bring people down, but it is it's a life story, a life-changing story. The guy took the trouble to send it in to me, so I thought, what the heck, I'll send it. You can leave your comments in the description and we'll go on from there. So I'll stop talking now, I'll just get on with it, okay? Right, here is our final story today, story number 3. This is not one of your usual stories, but there is a message at the end for everyone. An especially important message. I met my Asian girlfriend in 1964 and it was love at first sight. She and I were both 18 and our birthdays were in 18 days of each other. Within a week, I knew she was the one to marry. We married and the next 50 years were spent travelling the world together. The strength of our relationship kept us close, even though the racism that was to be found in the UK in the 1960s and 1970s wasn't great. As the years progressed, our relationship became even stronger to the point of knowing what we were thinking about without saying a word. Life without her would have been inconceivable. She was always there for me and for her. The years rolled on and it seemed to me that our relationship would last forever. Then last Christmas, she had signs and symptoms that I carelessly dismissed. She could not eat the delicious dinner that she had cooked for us. She had been complaining about a diminished sense of taste and her normality slim figure became bloated. Most notably, she complained about abdominal pains, which we put down to chronic indigestion, very wrongly. By the beginning of February, she was at the emergency department where a 15-centimetre tumour was discovered on her ovaries. It was to take another 5 weeks to be diagnosed with advanced cancer. She told me that the tumour could not be operated on and that the cancer was terminal. She wanted so much to live. In the space of a few weeks, our wonderful relationship became a nightmare. She developed complications and her situation deteriorated noticeably every week. I'll spare you the emotional stuff, but throughout March and April, I watched her pain and constantly had to administer various medicines. She went from being a beautiful Asian woman to one tormented with pain, but almost to the end, she was determined to beat the cancer. It was not until mid-May that she seemed to accept that she was approaching the end. She had by now the appearance of a heavily pregnant woman, but with an upper body that was skin and bone. By the end of May, she was remitted to the hospital while she passed away. I can never forget that call from the nurse at 2 a.m. telling me that she had died. My grief was off the scale. The next few weeks were a nightmare journey for us both. And after she was buried, I began to see that I should have reacted last year when she complained of being ill. I could have saved her and should have done. A message to your followers, Peter, is to guard your partner's health, and if a situation does not seem right, do not dismiss it. Ovarian cancer is a silent killer of women. Read up on all the signs of it and take action. Do not be like me and believe that there is nothing wrong. If my story saves even one woman, it will have been worth writing it to you. I have been sitting in my hotel room in Sukhumvit for many days thinking, in a few days it will be 6 months since she died. The pain still lives in me. Long-term spouses cannot imagine the grief that the loss of a partner can have. My wife of 56 years and soulmate of 60 years is no more, and life no longer has meaning for me. What's more to live for? Please don't comment about self-pity in me. You have to have been here. Well, I now know. Thanks for sharing this. I hope that all men with wives will take care. Very, very sad story. And it was very, very difficult for me to read out. I had to read it 2 or 3 times before I could actually put it on camera. I've got nothing else to say except, well, I've got nothing else to say. Thanks for watching.